I recall as yesterday standing at the huge celebration in the outdoors in the centre of Cardiff, in the grounds of the castle, for the canonization of the 40 martyrs. It happened while it was happening in Rome. 2 of the martyrs were from Cardiff itself. St. John Lloyd and St. Philip Evans were hanged, drawn and quartered where the National Westminster Bank now stands, at what used to be called Gallows Hill, too far from our school. And in the church where I used to serve Holy Mass before school, St. Peter's, which was close to the school, there were stained glass windows of their martyrdom, including the absolution they gave to each other and the call. They were in their cell playing a kind of simple tennis, and the call came that they had to go to the place of execution. And they calmly replied, "Could you please allow us to finish this game first?" And apparently they did, indicating their serenity before torture, knowing that they were homeward bound. Some do not face death with that same serenity. Why? They are not prepared. Indeed, the whole question of death has been pushed away, and the possibility of judgment and its consequences has been progressively cancelled from the equation of life. And it is easy to do so, for the norm out there is that it doesn't really matter. Should there ever be anything beyond the grave, God is merciful, and we are told that everyone is received into glory. At least that's the message that comes to us in most of our funerals. But no matter who is in the casket, apparently he's a saint. Maybe the reality isn't quite as simple. And one moment after death, that reality becomes the only reality, evermore. Why were these martyrs so keen on holding on to one thing, the fullness of the Catholic faith? In England, the structure of the church actually was maintained. Bishops with mitres, the same parish churches, the same dioceses, the same university formation in Oxford and Cambridge, the same words in our language: priest, deacon, bishop. Even some of the old feasts, Michaelmas, and at Oxford the terms start with such expressions: Hilary term, Michaelmas term, and so on. And so one can see how the people were easily taken in, for bit by little bit more was happening than actually met the eye. The martyrs knew it. Indeed, one, when facing an Anglican bishop before him, had the courage to say in his face that he wasn't a bishop. That was the issue. It was precisely no longer the church. Henry II, at the time of the martyrdom of St. Thomas Becket, was in danger of creating something separate from Rome, but the work was accomplished under his eventual successor of the same name, Henry VIII. It is not to say that grace is absent from prayer in any Christian assembly, but the positive will of God is. Things are allowed to happen, and God is still generous. But the martyrs knew that the positive will of God was one church, faithful unto Peter, and therefore to the faith received from the apostles. Parliament has no power over the faith. Neither have modern media power over eternity, and no amount of teaching can change the truth if the teaching is of human origin. Having said that, further and further away from the division, children born into the division are not responsible. And certainly there is much further all over the Christian globe. I wouldn't be here now if it weren't for good Christian fellowship in evangelical days. There was a billboard in front of one American church saying, "Too much sugar preaching leads to truth decay." At Gallows Hill or Gallows Corner, things weren't sugary. Our own John Roberts and our own John Jones up in the north, and Richard Gwynne not too far from our farm in Mid Wales, all knew it. As they were pulling out the entrails of St. Richard Gwynne, he cried out in Welsh, "O Dduw Gwyn pa beth ydy hyn?" "O white God," literally, "O blessed God, what thing is this?" And he was answered, "It is the execution of His Majesty," or words to that effect. What majesty is there that can want to hang, drawn and quartered the men of God who knew what was what? Noise comes from hell. Serenity is the realm of the angels.